Please subscribe to our channel, Pacific Front Untold, and be sure to leave a comment after watching a video.
Baron Kumao Harada was a prominent Japanese diplomat and politician during the early 20th century. He served in various diplomatic roles, including as Japan's ambassador to several European countries. One of Harada's notable roles was serving as the personal secretary and confidant to Japanese statesman and member of the noble family Saionji Kinmochi. Harada, in his memoirs, documented Japan's political landscape in the 1920s and 30s, with a particular focus on the role of Saionji during his time as general, one of the elder statesmen of Japan. Harada documented many of Saionji's predictions about the dangers of fascism and militarism in Japan during the 1930s. As a senior Japanese statesman, Saionji repeatedly emphasized the necessity of keeping the military out of politics. Saionji gave notice about the grave threat that the rise of fascism and ultra-nationalism posed to Japan's democratic foundations, which he believed could lead to catastrophic conflict. Saionji even traveled to Tokyo to discuss the situation with Lieutenant Colonel Suzuki Keiji, a Japanese military officer, and Shiatori Toshio, a Japanese diplomat, along with Takahashi Korekiyo, the finance minister, to address the economic implications of the army's rising power. Rumors spread about Saionji's visit, with some believing it was to repress the army or related to political changes. Saionji stressed to Harada that, quote, various plans are being pushed ahead recklessly, close quote, and that caution was needed to avoid chaos in the political atmosphere. Emperor Meiji emphasized in his rescript to the military the importance of keeping the army separate from political affairs to preserve its integrity. Saionji Kinmochi echoed this sentiment, expressing concern over the political appointments of individuals like Suzuki, whom he viewed as a part of a calculated effort by a small faction to consolidate power. This concern grew when Prime Minister Inukai Chiyoshi intervened to prevent certain politicians from resigning and appointed Suzuki as Home Minister, a figure known for his ties to far-right groups. Saionji continued to warn about the risks associated with such appointments, particularly when there were discussions about altering key political roles, such as assigning a prince as the Lord Keeper of the Privy Seal or changing positions like the Vice Grand Chamberlain and Vice Household Minister. Saionji informed Harada that emergency measures applied by the outgoing government could destabilize the new government. He emphasized that they should make decisions carefully and slowly regarding recent political appointments, such as that of Baron Hiranuma and Sadao Araki. Instead, Saionji helped Fumimaro Konoye, a Japanese politician from a noble family, become the president of the House of Peers and later the Lord Keeper of the Privy Seal. Konoye's aristocratic background, intellectual capabilities, and diplomacy could, according to Saionji, balance out the increasingly dominant military influence in Japanese politics. The ignored alerts became evident as the army gained more influence, especially in Manchukuo. Efforts to place army personnel in key positions within the South Manchuria Railway Company highlighted the deepening corruption and the rising power of the military. Uchida Yohei, president of the South Manchuria Railway, complied with the army's demands, exemplifying the expanding ties between military power and corruption. In contrast, Uguchi Yoshiatsu, the vice president of the South Manchuria Railway, resisted the army's encroachment, leading to his dismissal by the Minister of Overseas Affairs. This action precipitated Uchida's resignation and subsequent effort to keep Uchida in office. Harada realized that, quote, the serious-minded groups that were trying to bring the rebellious elements under control again might even lead the way and start a fascist movement, close quote. The culmination of ignoring Saionji's warnings led to Japan's escalating conflicts and eventual involvement in World War II. Baron Hiranuma, vice president of the Privy Council, was referred to as the fascist leader in Japan. In May of 1932, Hiranuma and the war minister encouraged striking Russia. Saionji strongly opposed the idea of withdrawing from the League of Nations and advocated for direct negotiations with great powers instead. The foreign minister asked Vice Minister Nagi to resign due to outside pressure, another sign of the army's growing power. Saionji emphasized that unchecked military influence would lead Japan towards tyranny, undermining the freedoms it had previously achieved. The prince cautioned against Tokonami Takahiro's radio show, which discussed the nationalization of railways, given that he was promoting the interests of the party. Even more evidence of Saionji's ignored alerts resulted in the shooting of Premier Inukai by assassins. The emperor gave Prince Saionji advice after the death of the premier, stating that, quote, "The premier must be a person of high character, and that a person sympathetic toward fascism is absolutely unacceptable as premier." Close quote. Prince Saionji also warned against Count Uchida's going to Manchuria and encouraged him to stay and be foreign minister instead. The prince believed that the rightists have been handled leniently, but it's better to handle them firmly. For instance, Prince Saionji advised that Hayakawa should not be appointed as the president of the South Manchuria Railway Company. The prince also suggested that it would be a bad decision to have Prince Ochichibu be the Lord Keeper of the Privy Seal because of his background in the imperial family. Finally, Saionji stressed that making Araki the premier, or even campaigning for his political ascension, would be disastrous because of his position as war minister. Despite such predictions, the militarists won significant control over Japan's political decisions. Governor General Ugaki ignored these notices about the rise of fascism and supported leaders like the war minister to be in office. The premier chose Count Hakataro Hayashi to be the president of the South Manchuria Railway Company, without consulting others, showing how he was not careful about the selection of the leader. Mori, Shiatori, and Suzuki all tried to change the cabinet to comprise younger individuals, and Harada argued that they were trying to change the cabinet by force. Despite his connections with the military, all three of these leaders also completely ignored Saionji's cautions about making Araki the premier, and advocated that he would be an excellent one. In summary, Prince Saionji Kinmochi's warnings about the dangers of fascism and militarism were consistently ignored or dismissed, leading to Japan's aggressive military actions in World War II. His predictions about the catastrophic consequences of military influence in politics were tragically realized, as Japan moved towards totalitarianism as a means to securing their empire and the war.